In terms of involving indigenous communities, do you think when it comes down to making a lot of the policies and any I guess like the legal framework of uh, addressing things in the community revolving around the environment or the climate, do you think that there will be members and elders of the community that will be involved in the policy making? And or is that something
Yes.
you would encourage?
Yes, I would. I think I totally agree with Anime that they need to speak for themselves. So they need to be on the table,
Yeah.
be part of that solution. We shouldn't be speaking on top of them like it has been happening in the previous administration. We should have them on the table.
You have experience working with different communities too, right? Like I know that's part of your work. Was it through your work with small businesses, or how did you get involved working with those communities?
Well, I've worked with several small businesses in the area as well. I've been supporting them through the pandemic. And one other thing, since you talk about this small businesses, is some of them they came to me some previous years ago, just like last year. You remember when the COVID hit, the federal government said they have money in place to support, especially small, BPOC community businesses and small businesses. Yet, you know what? We were running around and people were filling out applications. I worked on grant applications, even loan applications. Almost like 50% of those businesses were not eligible to that. Imagine that looks like it was kind of really very disappointing for most of those businesses because even black businesses who came to me and said, Felix, help us apply for this. Other BPOC groups are complaining that instead of providing us with a grant, you're providing us with a loan. And these loans are mostly controlled by very, very big banks that have very, very rigid processes and systems in place on who applies, who gets it. So in the end, they create a system where you think there is 500 million, yet people can't get it even. So that is one of my involvement with them. Also, I've been supporting nonprofits which are in the area in their grant writing and application processes. Also, as well as an arbitrator, I've been working with different groups and doing contracts. Also, I was also involved lately in the anti-racism strategy here in the province to address racism. I was part of that advisory committee and working with a lot of different leaders across the board, regardless of where they come from, because I think systemic racism and racism is something that we need to address in the system. A lot of people know it, and some of our experiences are still too fresh. I think that we shouldn't be a society that we think about really supporting each other, but at the same time, we don't have systems in place, checks and balances that can hold people accountable who go out there, troubling others who just want to go about their lives, right? I mean, so those are some of the things that I used to do. And in the past, I've been with the industry. I've been also working with organizations that work with persons with disabilities, some of those homes, and work with First Nations groups as well. I've worked with seniors. I used to own a small business where I deliver home care to seniors. So I understand some of these things so well. And I think that I've been part of, that group which has been here. Even when it comes to crime, I used to serve on some of those advisory committees here in Surrey to deal with youth and gang-related issues. I've created programs for young people who are suffering with illicit drug and other things, and I've worked with most of the major groups that are in the area. So these are not things which are new to me because I lived through them, and I am still running an organization and which we are doing some of those programs for our youths and women and children.
You do a lot, Felix.
I think that all of that you've done, all your work is a very heavy advantage on your side in the sense that you really understand Surrey. You have been in the community, and that is a vital vital thing that I think someone in your position should have. And a lot of people don't have that. You know, they are like you said, kind of following their mascots. And I think that you have a heavy advantage in the fact that you do that, that you've done all of that and you understand the community from a insider's perspective and from an empathetic perspective, in the sense that you've heard the stories, you've seen things firsthand, and that's what's needed. And I love that very much.
And that is something that I want people to understand. A lot of people who have been following me. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I would like people to understand. Do you want somebody who has been working with your families, with young people and all these different groups? Or do you want somebody who is just towing the party line, acting like the status quo, representing the status quo? It's all up to the voters right now to choose who they want to represent them. We are living in a very different time. I keep saying this again, and I cannot stress this anymore. It requires a different form of leadership. This is not business as usual, the way it has been in the previous years. You're going to need people who understand what people are facing from the ground, what people are dealing with, small business people, families, people who are homeless, people who are struggling with rent, people who are still struggling to develop their startup. So these are all things that I bring to the table. And as a community organizer, I've been working with most of the people who are here on the ground. And one thing I will do is I will work with whoever, no matter wherever the idea comes from, regardless of parties, to put the interest of the people of Surrey City Centre in front. That's what I want to do in Ottawa if I'm given that opportunity. So.
Love it. And you've shown that to, like, you've met my students as well. And I keep calling them my students. I am unemployed now, but former students. Yeah, you're just so open to their ideas and to, I just like the flexibility and openness to new ideas, I think, is key. I was also going to say about young people. So when we spoke with Anna Paul, she was saying that she thinks that young people and creatives are going to be like the absolute key to the real systemic change that you're also working towards. So do you agree too? So obviously young people, but have you worked with some sort of creative people too in this process, or encountered anyone that you feel like could really help with this as well?
You mean young people, right?
Yeah, young people. And then Anna Paul had mentioned creative types. So people like Naaz, who's a spoken word poet, and yeah, artists in the community.
Absolutely. And one place our office is in Surrey Centre, where you have an organization that I used to be part of that advisory committee. We help young people start their own small businesses, and we have worked on several different grants and opportunities for young people to start, because the young people are the future, right? And I think they need to be part of that process. I've met so many of them who have started, and they're doing really great stuff just by, creating their small digital company. I am so proud of so many of them who went through our programs at Baobab. Some of them right now work in places like Van City, Coast Capital. I know them. When they see me, they wave, Phoenix, right? I mean, awesome. When we used to run employment training programs. And I am really so proud because, there were groups in the community who saw really that we were an organization. Even Kwantlen, Steve, who is with SFE right now, he was there. These are great people who came to our support at that very initial stage when we were building Baobab. And SFE has been there, Kwantlen, all of these universities, great community groups that we've been working with, our businesses. And it's been just amazing to see. I can't even remember so many of their names, but Baobab has seen a lot of young people. Some of them are right now working in really, through our programs. Yeah. They've been trained and they're working professionals in so many different places. And I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud of the work that we've been doing. And yes, they are very talented young people around, a lot of them, even like Naaz and others who are putting themselves out there, I am so proud of them. because we can't just let the status quo to control how we live, how we house ourselves, how we feed. It's high time we have to stand up.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts then, speaking of young people, on higher education and tuition, or I guess the abolishment of student debt? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. You know, as a Green Party candidate, you know, I believe that Canada should be tuition free. I mean, I know so many countries in Europe that have that. And, you know, I studied in Switzerland so many years ago. And I understand that that shouldn't be a burden to students. Even I feel so worried about students here paying even for GST when they're buying books. It shouldn't be that way. Our students who are eligible to get loans and support, that is something that absolutely I will be supporting student. Any student who is eligible should be able to get that loan.
Absolutely.
That should be something that should be part of our responsibility as a system. We need to put in more money into research. We have to ensure that actually that students, after they finish school, they should be given at least 2 years to pay back the debt. Because one thing that I have, even I was talking to another colleague the other day who said, I am still paying my student loan up till now. The burden that and the pressure that you put on some of those people with that, it's just so challenging. And as a society, we have to rethink how we do those things. Even lifelong learning is something that should be, people who are eligible for, they should be able to get those dollars to train themselves. Because again, 2022, 23, 24 is going to be very different from the way we had in 2019 or 2018. So we have to start training more young people, bringing them into the workforce. We need to pump in more money onto research to ensure that actually these people can do research, create more new green jobs, and support the economy. We can't keep doing the same thing. Like right now, they're saying, oh, the best, like, for example, the best strategy of the liberals is just that we're going to fund, we're going to do this, we're going to just continue. It's better if we continue in the same way, but we are continuing in that same way. What is our plan for the future? This is the question I keep asking myself when I meet them in debates, and I don't hear anything different from them. They just keep talking about what they're doing. There is no plan for the future. And we can't keep going down that road and expecting that things are going to change. It's now that we have to plan. Now we have to bring in leaders who can come up with innovative ideas. And I think I am one of them. And others who are ready to work together, regardless of party. This whole partisanship has to stop because it's toxic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the student debt, I've mentioned this in other podcasts. I think I owe the government $40,000 still from my education. And it's crippling. And which is so sad, because I would still do it all over again. That, you know, it sort of reminds me of the idea of, so why voting green is a wasted vote. You know, now people always say getting a degree in the humanities is like a wasted education, right? When in fact, it is the most, I think, like humanizing thing you can do, because you meet other people, you learn different ideas, you see that what you think may be different from someone else, and learn to, I don't know, it's just so vital. And the Green Party is so absolutely necessary.